For great ideas and practical tools you can start using tomorrow to grow your business and separate you from the competition, you've come to the right place. If you're into B2B marketing and sales, then welcome to the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. With over 60 and counting total years in the trenches of businesses small and large, they have a plethora of knowledge and experience that generate you more leads, capture more clients, ring up more sales. Well, doggone it, just make you more money. How about that? Always thought-provoking, yet dubiously entertaining. Please welcome to their respective microphones across 3 time zones, your co-ringmasters, the Dave Loomis, and not the rock star, Steve Miller.
Hey everybody, this is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad, marketing gunslinger, and not the rock star. And I am here with my good buddy, Mr. Voice, the Dave Loomis. Say, give it to me, buddy. Give it to me. Make me feel it.
The Dave Loomis.
Listen to that voice. Don Pardo could have taken lessons from you. There are people on here who have no idea who Don Pardo is.
I love Don Pardo.
That was a good callback, wasn't it?
Wow.
So all right. So
Google it, everybody.
We're getting, we're getting dozen and dozen of people contacting us, and they are asking us questions. They're begging for information, begging for free help. Yeah. And you know what? We're stupid enough to give it to you. So, so I want to, I asked you to pick one of the many, just one. Just pick out one of the many questions that somebody has submitted to us.
Yes.
And let's talk about their question, and let's hopefully give somebody an answer, and it'll also be something that everybody else can still use as well. So what have you got for us, Mr. Voice? What have you got for us this week?
This is from listener Jake, and he says, "Hi, Dave. I'm continuing."
Wait.
Yes.
He didn't say hi, Dave. Hi, Steve. He didn't say hi, Dave and Steve.
No. You are mentioned in this, so don't fret.
I'm just wondering whether we should
send a LinkedIn note to 2 people.
Okay, all right.
Well, technically, you can.
I apologize.
Jake. Next time, send it to both.
My fragile macho male speaker consultant ego.
Wow, so. I'll have to tread lightly from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Fragile, right? Exactly. So I am continuing to enjoy and learn a lot from the podcast. I wanted to request that you and Steve, see, he said your name.
Good job, Jake.
Discuss how to do marketing/sales well in a very small company where you are doing both at the same time and resources and time are limited. Thanks so much.
Wow, nobody else has ever gone through that. Have you ever been in that situation?
Yes, I have.
So I have too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you were probably being sarcastic before.
What, about you?
No. Just about nobody being in that. I mean,
because you know what?
Time.
Oh yeah, of course. And I kind of figured that. I've been through that. I kind of figured you'd been through that. So this is a real common situation.
Oh yeah.
You're brought in to a company, or it might be your company, and you need to make sales, and you're trying to figure out how do I make sales, how do I bring in leads, how do I do this stuff, basically myself,
right?
Without spending a ton of money.
Yeah, and you know what happens almost every day? Your inbox gets filled up with all these notes to you coming out of absolutely nowhere from all sorts of different, marketing and sales platforms and tools. And I mean, how would you even make any sense of it, let alone have a budget to do any of it? And if you did buy into any of that stuff, who would actually implement it? And then you have this guilt complex that, shouldn't I be doing more because I see all these best practices, or I hear about it, or I listen to Dave and Steve's podcast, and wow, everybody's doing all these incredible, amazing things. Well,
and they're talking, and you can just get overwhelmed by what is available to you out there. Because if you start thinking about, they're talking about SEO, they're talking about LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. They're talking about Google ads, talking about other types of advertising. They're talking about doing blogs. They're talking about you should do webinars. You should do videos.
You got to do all that stuff. Oh,
and
no, you don't. You don't have to.
So let's start with at the very beginning. What would be the most basic advice that you would give? And then I will share one thing that I think is the most basic advice that I would give. Now, go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. You go right ahead and start filling this thing in. Okay. Let's help Jake.
Okay. And this will sound a little bit familiar, but it still rings true. And I think you'll agree with this.
Can we make this a telethon? So if anybody wants us to send some money to Jake, just send it to us. Okay. And we'll make sure Jake gets a hold of us.
We could start a GoFundMe.
Okay, let's do that. All right. Okay. So, all right, this is for you, Jake.
Right after this, so look for that in the program notes.
Yes,
because he should have more resources. Okay, yes. Listen, I have no idea what business Jake is in.
Okay,
but that would be my first question. So, what business are you in, Jake? What are you making? What are you trying to sell? What are you marketing? And who are you marketing to? And let's see your income statement real quick and your balance. Let's see, where do you make your money? Where are most of your sales? Where are most of your margins? And how do we double down on that? Like, what do we absolutely have to do? And then what would be nice to do? And what should be on the list of, we could think about it somewhere down the road. So it's just, to me, it's all about prioritization. And if there's limited resources, time, bandwidth, and people, and money, then that's it. I mean, then it's limited. So you work within your means. You don't want to bust the bank. And you do what is necessary to stay even, first of all, with what you need to do to make your sales and margin, and then how do you up the game from there? I mean, it sounds like super simplistic, but I mean that's kind of my basic first pass.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say is that you really need to kind of step back and look at the big picture for right now. Analyze your situation, okay? And probably the beginning of that is, from my perspective, is who is your moose? Who is the target market?
I didn't say that because I was waiting for you to say it.
Well, but it adds credibility when you say it rather than I say it. I'm expected to say it. So the first, for me, the first thing is to ask the question, who is your moose? Who is the most? Who is the best target market for you to go after? Yeah. And the assumption that I'm going to make is that you're already in business. By asking the question. Okay. Right. So you probably have a pretty good idea about who that ideal customer is. But the first, besides defining who your moose is, I would say the first thing that I would say to you is you need to stop doing things that you shouldn't be doing right now. Okay. You need to take a big look at everything you're doing, because we all get pulled in these different directions. All these shiny objects are out there. that are, like we talked about earlier, where we hear somebody say, oh, you should do webinars. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. Oh, you should do that. Is take a deep breath, step back, stop everything, and ask yourself the question, okay, who are my moose and where do they hang out?
Yeah. And what do they eat?
What do they eat? All right. Now, also, I would look at my moose and I would ask myself the question, how many people on my current customer list actually fit the profile of the perfect moose? Okay. How many of those people? And then my first thing is I would contact every one of those people personally. And I'm just guessing that, Jake, it's not a big list. And because we are B2B people, so I'm assuming that you're a B2B person as well, which means we don't have thousands. It's not like thousands of consumers, okay? Right. It's dozens of people at most, right? Mm-hmm. And so my first thing is I would then get on the phone with every single one of these people, and I would start to learn as much about them as I possibly can. All right. Why did they choose to do business with me? Mm-hmm. What are the problems and the challenges that they have that they need to overcome? What did they do to find me in the first place? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then
why did they stick to it? Why did they stick with us?
Absolutely. Yeah. If they're still doing business with you, why are you still doing business with us? Okay. And then I would then start to say, okay, and I would record these conversations. I would take their words. I would, wordsmith them a little bit. I would send them back to them and I would say, does this sound like something that you said about me? And I would turn their comments not only into information that I can use to go find more people, more moose, just like them. But I would then ask them, can I use your words? Can I quote you, in testimonials, in my marketing?
Yep. Great advice. Great advice. I think that's key. The other thing that struck me was once you go through this process, let's assume that Jake doesn't own this company. Mm-hmm. I don't think he does. There's an owner or there's a president or CEO or something, right? And I would say, set up some regular meetings with that person to make sure to talk about strategy, not tactic, to talk about the strategy of the company. Not necessarily marketing strategy, but the more you understand what is inside this leader's head about where they want to go and what they want to take, where they want to take the company. And not assuming that the person has a crystal ball and that everything they believe is the exact way to go. You can actually end up being a good coach to them too. But even just that conversation, I think, is very helpful. And it'll also raise your profile as a professional. And it might surprise them a little bit because it's like, well, I thought you were the person that just did these social media posts for us because I said to do it. And, you put together those sell sheets, sales uses and this other stuff. But hey, now you're talking to me about how are we making our company successful? How do we serve our customers successfully? We're in these markets now. These are our moose. Where does it make sense for us to go to grow and those sort of things? Hey, that informs your prioritization that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And we have this process of looking at all the tactics that we're doing, make a long laundry list and then just put, stop, start, keep, expand.
Right.
So you're looking at each one of these, including some things that you don't do now. And you just, kind of use your brain and say, is this going to be effective with reaching that moose and any other market?
Well, and also, and if I remember right, when you read what Jake sent in, it sounds like he is doing both marketing and sales.
It sounded like that to me.
And if that's true, then he's looking for his own prospects.
True.
And the easiest way to do that is through your current customer base, the referral, getting referrals, right?
Yes.
And getting these people to help spread the word with testimonials. And then also that, asking them, do you know any, who else do you know who might have the same type of challenges that you have that I can work with? Okay. So that you're then getting them to open that door for you, looking for that, it's not just a referral. I call it's an endorsed referral. Okay. It's a proactive referral where they help open that door for you. Because if you get really, really good at taking care of people, and if you take care of your customers, it's the old Zig Ziglar thing. If you help enough other people get what they want, they will help you get what you want.
Exactly. And they become raving fans, and they're loyal to you. And certainly, Jake would probably attest that he would rather spend a little extra time to retain a customer than start from absolute scratch to get a new one. I mean, the cost and the time involved are crazy different. And so do what you say in your book, Uncopyable, about, creating almost a cult around, an aura around your company and what you offer, and so people want to be part of that.
Right. And, any time you can create when you say like this aura, of specialization, this aura of we're offering you something uniquely valuable, that you're only going to get if you work with me. Okay. Now I can, I can easily say, which I've done for years, is I can say, I'm Steve. If you want to work, if you want, work with our company, you're working with me and my smoking hot wife. Okay. And, and we have a very unique perspective on the world, but because we deliberately have kept our business small, so we are responsible for marketing and sales, just like you are, Jake. And, and we say, but I can't work with everybody. See? So it's, if you work with me, you're going to get the best stuff that I've got.
Right.
Because I can't work with everybody. So I have to be, you're joining the club when you become, my customer or my client, however I.
Now, I don't know if this is Jake's situation, but let me throw something at you here. Let's say that, just for the sake of argument, that this president or CEO that I talked about, maybe they are one of these sort of owners or founders or leaders that claims that they don't really believe in marketing, that that Jake really just, you should be selling, I know we have to do some stuff to check a box or whatever, but that's why you don't get any resources, because I just don't believe in spending all that money to do that kind of crap. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I would say that that the boss has been misinformed. Okay. The objective of marketing, when done correctly, is to simplify sales job. It shortens the sales cycle. And in fact, if you really are good at marketing, it shortens the sales cycle dramatically. So instead of, and if we talk about in the B2B world, where it's not uncommon for a sales cycle to be a year or 2 years or something like that, you can cut that in half through really good marketing.
Yeah.
And, but like what I would say to Jake is, don't look at multiple tools to use. Don't look at many, many tactics. Pick one or two Like because the purpose of marketing is to be on the mind of the customer when the customer is ready to buy. That is my definition of the purpose of marketing. So what I have to do is I have to find marketing tools that, number one, my moose are already paying attention to.
Yep.
So like if I find out that my moose are hanging out, that they regularly hang out on LinkedIn, then I am going to go on and I am going to absolutely kill, my presence on LinkedIn. I mean, kill in a good way. That I'm going to come on there and I'm going to provide information. I'm going to provide content. I am going to respond to other people's posts and comment, to help them. I'm going to write articles, for there, or I'm going to put on videos on LinkedIn, and I'm going to just go in there and I'm just going to give. And then when the customer is ready to buy, they go, when the lightning, I always say, when the lightning bolt comes out of the sky, and somebody is all of a sudden going, oh, I need this service or I need this type of product. Who do they think of first? Do they think of you first? Do they think of you second? Do they think of you at all? And my objective as a marketer is I'm the only one they think about.
Yeah. And maybe Jake, reaches out to some of these great customers, AKA Moose. And when he asks them, so when did you first start working with us? How'd you hear about us? Maybe a bunch of them say, well, at this, industry trade show that everybody goes to.
Sure.
If they say that, double down on that darn trade show.
Then the trade show becomes it.
Put your budget there. And then, make sure you're making a splash and get that list and, work that list and make the appointments and put a lot into that, because apparently your target market appreciates that and goes to that show and or a couple shows. So I just you keep it simple.
Keep it
super
simple. Yeah, super simple, super simple. And look at things that like if my market goes to trade shows and they hang out on LinkedIn, that's all I care about.
Yep.
All right, that's all I care about. Now I use LinkedIn, and you brought trade shows in. Trade shows are a very, very good tool. Very, very good tool. And anybody who says that they aren't a very good tool is smoking something. And if they're saying to you, oh, you should do this, you should put all your money into digital, not into trade shows, they're trying to sell you something. So they are very, very good tools if you do them right. And if your moose are going to those trade shows, that's where you want to be. And I say LinkedIn. Well, you know what? Maybe it's not LinkedIn. Maybe it's Twitter. I don't know. You need to find out where your moose are hanging out.
Right. And maybe it's very specific email marketing that has targeted information just for, so niche-y, so specific about their business, not your business, but, about how they use your services, but how they can help their business. I've seen some great things where they get the engineers in a company, in a B2B company, to participate in the blogging.
Yeah.
And the topics, I mean, they're way over any of our heads.
Oh yeah.
It's like 0.00001% of anyone could even understand any of these things. And that's the point.
Yeah. And your engineer. Yeah. Engineers are your SMEs.
Yeah.
And you just go sit down with them and you record their conversation and you have it transcribed and you just post it and you say, here's one of our engineers talking about this problem that we solved. And have you ever had this problem? Well, here's our answer for you. Okay. So yeah, that's what you want to do. That's content. That's content marketing aimed at your specific moose.
I have one other thing before we wrap up, and that is that, and I think it's good advice for a very small organization where things are, sort of limited. And that's try things, experiment, do a lot of pilots of things. And if they don't work, don't do them anymore. And if they work, then continue to do them or do more of those things. But don't lock yourself into long-term commitments for things that include that suck your budget. Because I've seen that happen, and you have too, where then you look at it a year, even a year is a long time. You look at it a year later and you're like, shoot, I don't really have a lot to show for that. And that was X% of my annual budget. So do things a month at a time or a couple months at a time. Try some stuff. But
also when you're doing things, and I'll use trade shows as the example. If you have been doing trade shows and you're not getting results out of trade shows, before you decide that trade shows suck, ask yourself the question, do I really know what I'm doing here? Okay? Because the percentage of companies that use trade shows successfully and profitably is stupidly small. And yet they are, in fact, extremely powerful tools when done correctly. But any tool is powerful when used correctly. You know, social media can be very powerful. Advertising can be very powerful. Billboard advertising can be very powerful if your target market uses it.
Yeah. You ever walk into like a garage and it's all kitted out with all those fancy, like, you know, drawers for tools and a wall full of stuff, and it looks like, oh my God. Don't do that. If you're a small company in charge of both sales and marketing, have a few tools that you absolutely live and die with, and use those. Have a small section in your garage, and you love it. And even if you have to spend a little bit more for one of those tools, it's the right tool. So do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's it.
All right. That's all the time we have because Mr. Voice has to go to the Cleveland Cavaliers football game. I mean, I'm kidding. Basketball games.
Basketball. No, the Cleveland Browns are our football team.
I've heard that. I heard about
Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, we'll see about that. So Mr. Voice, take us out of here. Jake, thank you for your question. I hope that gave you some ideas. If it didn't, if it gives you more, if it makes you ask more questions, send them in.
Oh yeah, and address it to Steve, please. I'm just kidding.
Just remember my fragile macho male speaker ego.
You can call me. You can call me directly, Jake, and I just won't tell Steve.
Don't call me.
So this has been the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast with the Dave Loon himself, and not the rock star Steve Miller, who has all sorts of other kinds of names associated with him. But thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast, the source for B2B marketing and sales insight. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and leave these old guys a 5-star rating. Check the show notes for any links and contact information. You can always contact us by going to b2bmarketingsalespodcast.com. Thank you, and keep on marketing, keep on selling.